The 17th of December 1944. 0645 hours, near Malmedy, Belgium. Oberleutnant Friedrich Hartmann studied a frozen corpse through his binoculars. The dead American soldier lay in the snow roughly 80 meters from the German position, killed by a single rifle shot to the head. It was the fourth such casualty in the past hour, each executed with the same method. One shot, long range, perfect precision. Hartmann had commanded infantry companies for 3 years. He recognized expert marksmanship when he saw it. These weren't lucky shots fired by nervous American conscripts. This was a hunter. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. What unnerved Hartmann most was the shooter's position. His men had been scanning the American lines for over an hour, attempting to locate the sniper. They found nothing, no muzzle flash, no movement, no hint of the origin. Just 4 dead Germans and the creeping realization that an invisible enemy was systematically eliminating his soldiers. Through the pre-dawn darkness, another shot rang out. A 5th German soldier dropped, killed instantly. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The bullet had traveled more than 200 meters, slipped through a gap barely 10 centimeters wide in the soldier's cover, and struck squarely in the forehead. Hartmann grabbed his radio. All units, we have an American sharpshooter of exceptional skill operating in this sector. Exercise maximum caution, remain under cover. His company sergeant, Feldwebel Otto Miller, crawled to Hartmann's position. Herr Oberleutnant, he said, this isn't an ordinary rifleman. This is someone with extensive experience. Someone who's done this before. Hartmann nodded. The precision, patience, and ability to remain unseen all pointed to a professional. Yet American intelligence had reported this sector was held by the 106th Infantry Division, a green unit that had only arrived in Europe in November. They shouldn't have soldiers of this caliber. What Hartmann didn't know and what German intelligence had missed was that the American picking off his men wasn't a young conscript. He was a 41-year-old soldier, twice rejected for frontline service due to his age. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. A man who had spent 18 months performing rear echelon duties while younger soldiers fought. A man who had only convinced his commanders to let him fight 3 days before the German offensive began. The shooter was Master Sergeant William James Patterson of the 423rd Infantry Regiment, 106th Infantry Division. Over the next 14 days, he would kill 121 German soldiers, become the oldest American to receive the Medal of Honor in the European theater, and prove that experience could triumph over youth in the lethal calculus of infantry combat. This is the story of how a man deemed too old for war became death itself, how age and patience overcame youth and aggression, and how one 41-year-old soldier demonstrated that the best weapon isn't always the newest one. William James Patterson was born in April 1903 in a small town outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His father was a coal miner. His mother raised 7 children in a cramped 2-bedroom house that never quite stayed warm in winter. Patterson learned to shoot at the age of 9, hunting rabbits and squirrels to supplement the family's meager diet. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. By 12, he could hit a rabbit's head at 75 yards with his father's old Winchester rifle. By 15, he was bringing home enough game to feed the family twice a week. The hunting wasn't sport, it was survival. Ammunition cost money the family didn't have. Every shot had to count. Patterson learned patience. He learned to wait for the perfect moment, understanding that rushing led to misses and misses meant hungry nights. He also learned a skill that would prove vital decades later. He learned to read terrain, anticipate where game would move, and position himself where targets would appear. He learned to remain motionless for hours, ignoring cold and discomfort, waiting for a shot that would hit rather than wasting ammunition on ones that might. From age 16 to 39, Patterson worked in the coal mines. Following his father into the darkness, the work was brutal. Men died regularly from cave-ins, explosions, and equipment failures. Patterson survived through careful attention to detail and a willingness to move deliberately when others rushed. In December 1941, at 38, Patterson tried to enlist in the Army. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The recruiting sergeant looked at his birth certificate and shook his head. You're too old. We need young men who can handle the physical demands. I can outshoot any 20-year-old you've got, Patterson argued. I can march as far, I can work harder. The sergeant was sympathetic but firm. The age limit is 38. You just missed it. I'm sorry. Patterson tried again in March 1942, after the age limit was raised to 40. This time he was accepted and sent to basic training at Camp Wheeler, Georgia. Basic training nearly broke him. At 39, he was 15 to 20 years older than most recruits. The running, forest marches, and grueling physical exercises that younger men handled with ease left him exhausted. Drill sergeants doubted whether he could handle combat conditions, but marksmanship set Patterson apart. On the rifle range, he qualified as an expert with scores that surpassed every other recruit in his battalion. His shooting wasn't just accurate, it was remarkably consistent. He could hit targets at ranges where others could barely see them. The range instructor, Sergeant First Class James Morrison, took notice. "You're the best natural shooter I've seen in 20 years of training soldiers. Where did you learn to shoot like that?" If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. "Hunting to feed my family," Patterson replied. "When you can't afford to miss, you learn not to miss." After basic training, Patterson was assigned to a replacement battalion and shipped to England. He expected frontline deployment. Instead, he was sent to a supply depot in Southampton, performing warehouse duties. When he asked his company commander about combat assignment, the captain was blunt. "You're 40 years old, Patterson. You did well in training, but combat is a young man's game. We need you in support roles." Patterson spent the next 15 months performing supply duties, watching younger soldiers deploy to combat while he inventoried equipment and loaded trucks. The frustration burned. He hadn't joined the army to count boxes. In September 1944, Patterson requested a transfer to the infantry. Denied due to age. He requested again in October. Denied again in November. He wrote directly to the 106th Infantry Division commander, requesting any combat assignment regardless of risk. The division was desperate for replacements. The 423rd Infantry Regiment had suffered heavy casualties during training accidents and needed experienced soldiers. The regimental commander, Colonel Charles Cavender, reviewed Patterson's file: age 41, expert rifleman, excellent physical condition for his age, previous requests for combat repeatedly denied. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The colonel made a decision that would seal the fate of hundreds of German soldiers. On the 10th of December, 1944, Patterson received orders transferring him to Company K, 423rd Infantry Regiment as a squad leader. He would deploy to the Ardennes region of Belgium, a quiet sector where green troops could gain experience before facing serious combat. Patterson arrived at the front on the 14th of December. 2 days later, Germany launched its largest offensive on the Western Front. Patterson would finally have the chance to prove that age was irrelevant to combat effectiveness. The 16th of December, 1944. 530 hours. The German artillery barrage that opened the Ardennes offensive struck the 106th Infantry Division with devastating effect. Over 1,600 guns fired along the 85-mile front. The division, holding 27 miles of front with just over 14,000 men, faced approximately 200,000 German soldiers from 3 armies. Patterson's first experience of combat came at 0600 hours. When German infantry emerged from the morning fog, his squad, positioned near defensive positions outside the village of Schonberg, suddenly faced overwhelming enemy forces. The young soldiers in Patterson's squad, most under 21, panicked. Several froze. 2 tried to run. Cohesion collapsed within minutes. Patterson reacted differently. Years in the coal mines had taught him to remain calm when others panicked. Age had given him perspective that youth lacked. This wasn't his first encounter with death, and it wouldn't be his last. "Stay down," Patterson ordered. "Pick your targets. Aim. Don't waste ammunition." He demonstrated by shooting a German officer at roughly 250 meters. Single shot, the officer fell. Patterson worked the bolt, ejecting the spent casing, chambering a new round. Another target, another shot, another kill. The squad's panic eased. Patterson's calm became their anchor. Over the next 4 hours, his squad held their position against repeated German attacks. They were outnumbered at least 10 to 1, but Patterson's accurate fire and tactical judgment kept them alive. He identified German squad leaders and eliminated them first, sowing confusion in enemy ranks. He targeted machine gunners before they could establish positions. He took out officers attempting to coordinate attacks. By 1000 hours, the tactical situation had collapsed. The regiment was being surrounded. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Colonel Cavender ordered a withdrawal to new defensive positions near Saint Vith. Patterson's squad, now reduced from 12 to 7 men, fell back in good order. During the withdrawal, Patterson provided covering fire that allowed his squad and elements of 2 other squads to escape encirclement. He remained in position while 37 men withdrew, shooting at any German soldier who attempted to follow. His precise fire convinced the enemy that they faced a far larger defending force than a single 41-year-old man with a rifle. Between the 16th of December and the 29th of December, Master Sergeant William Patterson killed 121 German soldiers. This figure is documented in after-action reports, verified by witnesses and confirmed by German casualty records captured after the war. Patterson's methodology was systematic. Each morning before dawn, he would move to an advanced position, sometimes as far as 300 meters ahead of American lines. There, he would establish a hide using natural terrain and snow for concealment, and then he would wait. The waiting was crucial. Younger soldiers lacked the patience. They would shoot at the first target, revealing their position. Patterson waited for multiple targets or high-value targets such as officers and machine gunners. He observed German positions for hours, studying patterns, routines, and moments when enemies would present themselves. His rifle was a standard-issue M1903 Springfield with iron sights, no telescopic scope. No specialized sniper equipment, just a rifle, standard ammunition, and 41 years of shooting experience. The Springfield held 5 rounds in an internal magazine. Patterson rarely needed more than 5 shots before relocating. 5 shots meant 5 targets, and 5 targets usually meant 5 kills. His accuracy rate, estimated from witness accounts and ammunition records, exceeded 93. Nearly every shot killed or severely wounded an enemy soldier. On the 18th of December, Patterson killed 11 German soldiers in 3 hours from a position overlooking a road intersection. The intersection was being used to move supplies forward. Patterson systematically targeted drivers, officers, and anyone attempting to organize traffic. The intersection became impassable as vehicles piled up and personnel refused to approach. On the 20th of December, Patterson eliminated an entire German mortar crew 6 men in just 90 seconds. The crew was setting up to fire on American positions. Patterson shot the crew chief first, then the assistant, and finally the ammunition handlers before they could react. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The mortar was abandoned, preventing it from inflicting casualties. On the 22nd of December, Patterson engaged a German company commander attempting to organize an attack. The bullet traveled 280 meters through falling snow and struck the officer in the chest, killing him instantly. The planned attack collapsed as German soldiers sought cover, uncertain where the shot had come from. The German response was predictable. They attempted conventional counter, sniper tactics, watching for muzzle flash, listening for shot direction, triangulating with multiple observers. None of it worked. Patterson fired from concealed positions, moved immediately after shooting, and used terrain so effectively that even when the Germans estimated his location, they could not see him. His patience, honed by age and experience, allowed him to remain motionless for hours, something younger soldiers found nearly impossible. German forces began calling him Der Alte Jäger, the Old Hunter. Reports from captured soldiers indicated that Patterson's presence had effects far beyond the casualties he inflicted. German troops became hesitant to move during daylight. Officers paused before exposing themselves. Entire squads remained in cover rather than risk encountering the unseen American who seemed capable of hitting any target at any range. By the 27th of December, Patterson had been operating continuously for 11 days with minimal sleep and inadequate food. His body was nearing collapse, yet the German offensive was weakening, and Patterson understood that these final days were critical. On the 28th of December, Patterson executed his most difficult shot. A German forward observer was directing artillery fire from a church steeple roughly 350 meters away. The observer was partially concealed behind the steeple's architecture, presenting a target area of less than 20 centimeters. Patterson studied the target for 30 minutes, calculating wind, distance, and bullet drop. The M1903 Springfield wasn't designed for such extreme precision at that range, but Patterson had been shooting for 32 years. He knew the rifle's capabilities better than the engineers who built it. He fired once, the bullet traveled 350 meters, rising slightly, then dropping in a ballistic arc. It struck the observer in the throat, killing him instantly. The artillery fire stopped immediately. Patterson's last confirmed kill came on the 29th of December. By then, the German offensive had clearly failed. American reinforcements were arriving, and the tactical situation was stabilizing, but German forces remained dangerous, and Patterson was still hunting. His final target was a German machine gun crew that had pinned down 2 American squads attempting to retake lost ground. The crew was well positioned in a fortified emplacement with excellent fields of fire. A direct assault would have cost multiple American lives. Patterson worked his way to a flanking position over 2 hours of careful movement. From approximately 150 meters, he shot the machine gunner, the assistant gunner, and the ammunition handler in rapid succession. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. 3 shots, 3 kills, 15 seconds. The machine gun position was eliminated without any American casualties. That afternoon, Patterson collapsed from exhaustion. He was evacuated to a field hospital, where doctors found him suffering from frostbite, malnutrition, and complete physical exhaustion. He had lost 23 pounds in 14 days. His hands trembled uncontrollably from cold and fatigue, but he was alive. The statistical carnage, the numbers associated with Patterson's 14 days of combat, require careful analysis. 120. 1 confirmed kills in 14 days equals an